Now we're going to look at our second type of transformation, and that's called a rotation. And we're going to do a rotation about a point, in this case, the origin. The origin is the point 0, 0 right in the middle of the graph, and we want to rotate 90 degrees clockwise around this point. Now, in the first page, you might not have seen much of a point for the transparency sheets, and you thought you could figure it out pretty quickly. With this section, the transparency sheets start to make a little bit more sense. So if you start with your initial shape like this, and you think of rotating around the center point 90 degrees clockwise, we know clock turns to the right, you're going to end up effectively doing something like this. So now your new set of coordinates are going to end up here, and it's a little bit hard to see exactly where they go, but you will need to be able to copy these down. So if you were to lift this up and maybe just kind of copy down exactly where those points are underneath, that would be one way to do it. But I want you to start figuring out how you would go about doing this rotation without the help of that transparency. So to use this initially to understand what you're doing and to check your work, but to be able to start doing it without it. So one way to think about that is as you essentially go around in a circle, if you are right here to the left 1, you're going to go around the circle and you're going to end up 1. And that's where you get your T prime. Your J right here is 1, 2, 3 over 1 up. If you imagine going around the circle, you're going to end up being 3 up and 1 over. So back 3 up 1, now you're up 3 over 1. And that's going to be J prime. Same thing over here with U, you're over 3, back 3. If you rotate it all the way around, you're going to end up being over 3 and up 3. So that's your U prime. And then your Y is straight up 2. Rotating that around, you're going to get Y prime down here. So if we take our new shape that we just drew, we're going to have it look something like this. And let's check to make sure that we did that right. If we take our transparency sheet and put it over and rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, we're going to see that that lines up exactly where we intended it to. The transparency doesn't always help you as much with the labeling, especially if you were to draw your own and you weren't given a printout like this. So that's why it's important to recognize what's going on. If you can see that you're going back 3 and up 3, when you do that rotation, you're now going to be up 3 and right 3. Now let's go down to the bottom. We need to write a rule for what is going on in the shape. And I'm going to go down to number 12. And on number 12 here, if we zoom in a little bit, we're going to be looking at a few of our points to see where they went. So we can see that we have a point J right here and J prime over here. So J swung around this direction and ended up here at J prime. So we can see that we originally back 2 and down 1. Now we're down 2 and over 1. So it looks like a 90-degree rotation occurred. It doesn't look like a full 180, otherwise the whole shape would have ended up somewhere up here, but it did not. So we're looking at a 90-degree rotation. And because our original, our F's, our J's, our Z, and our D, these are all in this quadrant here, and we rotated the image, the new version over here, it looks like our rotation is going this direction here, or counterclockwise. It is going against the clock rotation, so counterclockwise. And let's just confirm that everything does what we expected it to. It looks like this point D, we go 1 back, 1, 2, 3, 4 down, and then D prime, 1 down, 1, 2, 3, 4 over. So yes, it does look like it's rotating correctly. So the way we'd write our rules, we would say rotation, because this is a rotation, and then we would say 90 degrees counterclockwise, and you can just abbreviate that CCW, counterclockwise. If you want to use the transparency sheet to make sure that you got your rule right, you can overlay the original image and then do that 90-degree counterclockwise rotation and make sure that everything lines up exactly as you had expected. So you set your transparency sheet on there, and then when we rotate it 90 degrees, you can see that the transparency does cover up the image, so it looks like that is correct.